Exclusive contract novel from FUL Novel Network. 3 Kingdoms. I teach Cao Cao to be a capable minister and create a world of governance. Cao Bin traveled through the late Eastern Han dynasty and became the younger brother of Cao Cao. By activating the Nengchen System, cultivating Nengchen can earn rewards. Cao Bin. To be able for the nation, to be a subject of the people. It's for a capable minister. Understanding the ultimate attributes of capable officials, awakening national righteousness, rewards. Historical observation function, Cao Cao's view of life. A traitor in a chaotic era. I can also be a capable minister, creating and governing the world. Cao Cao awakens the attribute of being a capable minister, rewards. Ming Dynasty iron smelting and agricultural technology, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, and Zhao Yun watch the 5 barbarians Hua. Kill all the barbarians in the world. The attribute of Nengchen has been upgraded, rewarding Tang Dynasty Xuanjia cavalry equipment and tactics. Sun Tzu, Zhou Yu, and Tai Shizi watched the Battle of Jiawu. Japanese pirates must be slaughtered. Awakening to the surge of capable officials, rewarding Ming Dynasty warship construction methods, defeat the wealthy, divide the land, defeat the feudal lords, and raise the red flag. Kill the 3 Koreas, slaughter the Japanese pirates, pacify India, and fight against Angsa. Wherever the sun and moon shine and rivers reach, they are all Han soil. FUL Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. The Lost Cao Cao. With a high heart and high ambition. You are listening at Novel FUL.audio. January 184. Cao Cao, who was appointed as the Minister of Justice, stood in front of the palace gate, his face full of disappointment. The advice on reducing taxes on the people has failed again. The bamboo slips in hand fell to the ground, hitting the slate floor with a loud crash, and the bamboo pieces scattered. The full handwriting in the official script is the governance advice he painstakingly wrote by staying up late. Why? Looking at the vermilion-colored gate, Cao Cao felt extremely disappointed. Think of me, Cao Mengda, for 20 acts of filial piety and integrity, for 10 fleeting years. It's already 30, but where is the day of its establishment? There is no future ahead. Starting from his official career as the northern commander of Luoyang, he killed Jian Shua's uncle with a cane. His various political scenes constantly come to mind. Being law-abiding in handling cases, but being exposed in secret. Various suggestions, but without any ripples. Cao Cao's heart is sour and unbearable. Squeak. The heavy palace gate slowly closed under the efforts of several soldiers. The wide palace passage narrows through the narrow door gap until it disappears. Bang! The palace gate is tightly closed. That dull voice seemed to cut off people's hopes. Cao Cao looked up to the sky and sighed, "My heart is as high as the sky, but my ambition is hard to fulfill. When will the childhood dream of conquering the West General come true? There is no way to serve the country." Sighs and heartaches come one after another. Flipped the river and the sea in his heart. Meng Dexiu needs to speak more. 2 figures rushed forward, and one of them shouted and stopped. Cao Cao turned his head and saw that it was the 2 sons of the Yuan family. Yuan Shao walked up close and whispered a warning. "Mengda, don't talk nonsense." He looked around and the ministers of the next court chatted in pairs. There are many people and mixed eyes in this room. Yuan Shao lowered his voice cautiously and said, "In case someone with intentions uses his words, he is afraid that his position as a counselor will not be guaranteed." Yuan Shu chuckled lightly on the side and said, "Even if Uncle Cao is appointed as the colonel of Sili, he cannot protect you, a despicable child." Cao Cao smiled bitterly and shook his head. Helplessness once again swept through my heart, feeling extremely low. Yuan Shao saw it in his eyes and forcefully grabbed the other person's arm. "Let's go. I'll go to the restaurant to drink. Then go to the flower and bird pavilion and find a flower leader to spread the fire and relieve your depression with you. Cao Cao couldn't resist the tall Yuan Shao and could only be dragged by the other party. In the compartment of the restaurant, he drank several glasses of wine and his face gradually turned red. The dishes have just tasted 3 flavors, and the wine has been on 5 rounds. Yuan Shao looked at Cao Cao, who was drinking heavily, and advised him. Mengde, since we were young, I would like to advise you for my brother. Don't be so impulsive. How can we pass by surrendering the people's taxes and losing the funds of the national treasury? Looking at Cao Cao who was about to retort, he immediately raised his hand to interrupt. I know what you mean. Although one has a good heart, one cannot handle things like this. Especially in the court. Pull one hair and move the whole body. Never prioritize personal emotions. I want to do things for the people, but I cannot do so. Yuan Shu filled the wine cup and said lightly, if you ask me, Mengde, you are just a fool. Do you not know that moving people's financial path is equivalent to killing parents' rights? Taking a light sip from his wine cup, he continued, how many people in the world live under the protection of the court? How could you possibly lower taxes just because of your words alone? Unrealistic. Besides, your written words are sharp, how can the Holy One listen in? Yuan Shu's expression as he played with the wine cup in his hand was very disdainful. Bang! Cao Cao slammed the table and stood up. A good medicine that tastes bitter is beneficial for illness, and good advice that goes against the ear is beneficial for action. He shouted loudly with his eyes wide open. We must be loyal to our Lord when we eat Han Lu. If the entire dynasty's civil and military officials ignore the chaos in the world, how can the court continue? When the state collapses, is there a complete egg under the nest? Continuous questioning echoed through the room, and Cao Cao's gaze was extremely sharp. Yuan Shu waved his hand impatiently and said, different ways do not conspire with each other. Talking too much is useless. Don't turn your head and focus on drinking and eating, never say anything again. Yuan Shao stood up and pushed Cao Cao back to his seat. He then knelt on the side and was about to speak up to persuade, but there was a loud knocking on the door. Yuan Shao sat upright and spoke loudly, come in. The Cao family's attendants opened the door and bowed before reporting, Master, something has been brought from the Chen-Lu's place. The attendant took out a wooden box, and the exquisite carving immediately caught the eye. How exquisite the carving skills are! Yuan Shu exclaimed in admiration. Cao Cao didn't go to pick it up and frowned, asking in a deep voice, who brought it? The attendant replied, my lord's younger brother, Cao Bin. Oh! Cao Cao raised his eyebrows and a tall figure came to mind. That is the younger brother he loved the most when he grew up. Your younger brother who is nothing but handsome. Yuan Shu joked. Surprisingly, I still know how to give you a gift. Let me take a look first. He reached out to grab the wooden box as he stood up, but was snatched by Yuan Shao. Putting it into Cao Cao's hand, Yuan Shao said, this exquisite wooden box, open it quickly and explore the truth. Cao Cao was equally curious and gently opened the lock of the wooden box. After opening it, he saw 3 lying brocade pouches. Yuan Shu, who was crowded on the side, praised, your little brother has a heart, he's very unique. Yuan Shaoma remained silent, having seen countless treasures, but he was impressed by the 3 well-crafted brocade sachets inside the wooden box. Cao Cao saw that the 3 brocade sachets each had different numbers of horizontal characters written on them. 1 stroke, 2 strokes, 3 strokes. Does this mean? 123. His guess received a nod of agreement from Yuan Shao, it should be. Cao Cao picked up the first one and opened it, pulling out the small white roll from it. Is this paper? Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu both exclaimed in surprise. As the legitimate sons of the Yuan family, the 4th generation and 3rd duke, even though they were knowledgeable, they had never seen such snow-white paper. Such paper should be more expensive than gold. Yuan Shao sincerely praised. Staring intently at the carefully opened paper roll by Cao Cao, he said, "How could there be such exquisite paper in the world? This paper is precious." Yuan Shu squinted his eyes and rubbed his hands, wishing to snatch the paper roll for himself. Cao Cao slowly opened it in surprise, and the first thing that caught his eye were 3 large characters and a row of small characters. Unlike their commonly used clerical script, the handwriting is agile, with thin yet vigorous strokes. Yuan Shao's eyes lit up and he said, "This character is extremely thin without losing its flesh, and it also has an outstanding demeanor. It's a great character. What a great character. Being able to see this word is fortunate for 3 lives. The character, Chao Bin, will surely be passed down by scholars all over the world." Yuan Shu nodded his head in sincere agreement. "It's really good handwriting, absolutely rare." He clenched his fists, suppressing the desire to seize possession. There seemed to be 10,000 ants crawling wildly in his heart, making him scratch his ears and cheeks. Yu Dan Ping. Cao Cao paid more attention to the meaning contained in the font. A line of small characters below the 3 major characters. A humble person speaks lightly, but a proposal is not accepted. Cao Cao whispered, his originally furrowed brow becoming even tighter. Chapter 2. 3 treasures, divine strategies and clever strategies, ordinary and unusual. You are listening at Novel FUL. Audio. Your younger brother said you speak lightly, Yuan Shu sneered. It seems that your younger brother is well aware of Cao Amon's recklessness in the industry. Yuan Xiaomo remained silent and focused on appreciating the characters. Ha ha ha. Cao Cao laughed up to the sky. The sudden burst of loud laughter shook Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu beside him. Cao Cao's eyes lit up and he said, "My younger brother's advice, I understand too. What are you suing?" Yuan Shu couldn't figure it out. Yuan Shao squinted and said, "I'm seeking your name." Cao Cao put away the paper roll, picked up the wooden box, and strode away. But due to the surge of alcohol, I stumbled and almost fell to the ground. Yuan Shao quickly grabbed his hand and eyes. "Mengda is leaving now." Of course. Cao Cao's face was flushed. Things should not be delayed. Knowing where the weakness lies, we will do our best to make up for it. Then you can serve the court as soon as possible. The resounding words echoed in the hotel room, extremely firm. Yuan Shu shook his head and said, "What are you 2 talking about? It's like a riddle." Cao Cao and Yuan Shao ignored Yuan Shu at all. By the way, Cao Cao turned to look for the attendant of the Cao family in the room. "Why is my younger brother in Chenlu? Why write such an amazing font? Why do you know about my situation? Why?" As if he had countless questions, his inquiries kept going. A series of questions froze the attendant on the spot. "Master, I don't know." The attendant said, "However, the younger brother of the head of the household has a message coming over." Cao Cao scolded, "Why don't you tell me now?" The attendant quickly returned and said, "After participating in the monthly review, I will open my second brocade bag." Cao Cao frowned again, rubbed the goatee on his chin, and lowered his head in deep thought. 3 brocade sachets, are they 3 clever strategies? His younger brother Cao Bin's performance made him look sideways. The tall and handsome figure came to mind. All memories are about the other person's appearance, but there is no talent related. In his perception, his younger brother Cao Bin, apart from his imposing and handsome appearance, was mediocre and even worthless. Not to mention writing such rare and excellent characters, even recognizing and deciphering words is a big problem. Not to mention the current situation where the brocade bag directly hits him, exposing his weaknesses with just 1 word. Let him compete for fame before making a speech. Just this action completely shattered Cao Cao's inherent understanding of his younger brother Cao Bin. He was extremely curious about the earth-shattering changes before and after Cao Bin. Cao Cao gathered his mind and put aside his doubts for the time being. He immediately bowed and said goodbye. I'm going to Runan, one step ahead. We will gather again when we return to Luoyang someday. Yuan Shu, kneeling back in his original position, waved his hand and said goodbye. Hurry up, don't delay my official drinking in entertainment. Cao Cao strode towards the shooting stars, holding a wooden box and pushing the door away. Mengde, wait for me. Yuan Shao quickly ran 2 steps after him. I will go to Runan with you. Yuan Shu, who was left in the room, took a big gulp of wine and said, 2 silly birds. Runan. Qinghe Island. Cao Cao and Yuan Shao stood among the dense crowd. The evaluation on the Day of the Moon resounds throughout the world. More and more literati and scholars are coming to seek Su Shao's comments. As a result, his reputation skyrocketed and he became known to the world. The two of them saw Su Shao and Su Jing coming and walked into the pavilion with several other famous scholars, and the monthly evaluation officially began. Commenting on calligraphy and painting, discussing current events. The atmosphere on site gradually improved. The people around whispered and expressed their opinions, making it lively. When it was time to comment on the characters, Cao Cao immediately stood up and said, I am Cao Cao and Cao Mengde. Please kindly comment, sir. Su Shao said, I won't comment this month, come back next month. This. Cao Cao wanted to say more, but was interrupted by a new topic proposed by other famous scholars. Upon seeing Cao Cao's return, Yuan Shao shook his head and said, wait until next month. Do you still have to stay in Runan for another month? Then his eyes lit up and he suggested to Cao Cao, who had an unhappy expression, don't you have that wooden box of brocade? Cai Zhaoji observes Cao Bin's strategies. We can definitely break through the current situation. Yuan Shao, who was accompanying him, had already arrived for the remaining 2 treasures, and as he seized the opportunity, he couldn't wait to speak up. Yeah. Cao Cao slammed his thigh, how could you forget about this? Immediately returning to the inn where he stayed, Cao Cao opened the wooden box and took out the second brocade bag in the anticipation of Yuan Shao. Still a snow-white scroll, the unique font once again catches the eye when opened. I knew you would open it in advance. Yuan Shao read out the handwriting on it. Find a way to get a monthly review on your own. Cao Cao said the next sentence. The two exchanged a glance, and Yuan Shao saw the embarrassment on Cao Cao's face. Your brother really knows how to calculate, Yuan Shao joked. Let's see through your cunning thoughts. Cao Cao feigned anger and said, it's not because of your instigation. Then he squinted his eyes and said, since we can't comment publicly, let's visit privately. Yuan Shao looked at the corner of Cao Cao's raised mouth and knew that a ghost idea would come out. 2 days later, Cao Cao returned to the inn in high spirits. Without further questioning from Yuan Shao, Cao Cao took the lead and said, I am a capable minister in governing the world and a powerful hero in times of chaos. Yuan Shao was taken aback and then exclaimed, is this Su Shao's comment for you? Cao Cao raised his head and chest, nodding proudly. A contemptuous attitude towards the world. He is bound to rise to fame after receiving this comment. The world has a great reputation, and when they speak again in court, they will have more weight. Tsk tisk. Yuan Shaozha said with a tongue. You are truly Cao Mengde. I believe you have put a lot of effort into this review, haven't you? Cao Cao was even more proud. Yuan Shao stood up and immediately said, quickly open the 3rd sachet. Can't wait to watch the content. Cao Cao also looked forward to it. He, who was already familiar with the road, quickly opened the 3rd scroll of paper. At first glance, he froze in place. Yuan Shao also froze. The expressions on both faces seemed to be engraved from the same mold. With a clatter, the wooden box in hand fell to the ground, waking the two of them up. This. Yuan Shao was puzzled and uncertain. Can your younger brother Cao Bin be good at calculating? The upper level reveals astronomy, while the lower level reveals geography. So as to predict in advance. Cao Cao took a few breaths in succession, barely suppressing the significant fluctuations in his emotions, and exclaimed in admiration. A capable minister in governing the world, a powerful hero in turbulent times. Every word is perfect, the whole bed is in the middle. How could that be so? He was lost in thought. For his younger brother Cao Bin, his curiosity has been elevated to an unprecedented level. No, I'm going to Chenlu to meet my younger brother Cao Bin. Before he could finish speaking, Cao Cao strode away with a meteor. Just as he left, he turned back and snatched the wooden box picked up by Yuan Shao from the ground. He carefully packed 3 brocade bags. Afraid of falling behind anyone. Yuan Shao's expression was displeased and he thought to himself, your hands are slow. Otherwise, the snow-white paper and precious fonts are now in his pocket. Click, Cao Cao closed the wooden box, but a new small paper roll fell from somewhere. Is there anything else? He immediately picked it up and opened it. Come to Zhuo County in Yuzhou to find me. Yuan Shao exclaimed in shock, even if you have to go find him. Already counted. Cao Cao's eyebrows furrowed even more. The 4 paper scrolls each have their own clever strategies. Why did my younger brother's plan come to this? Chapter 3. Choose Nengchen System and bring Cai Zhaoji along. You are listening at Novel FUL. Audio. In the bleak winter days, 2 carriages slowly drove through the wilderness under the driver's guidance. Cao Bin sat in the carriage with Kai Yan, baking the stove. The outside of the car is cold and the ground is frozen, but the inside is warm like spring. Kai Yan Yuguang secretly observed Cao Bin beside him. Qingxin Junyi, gentle and elegant. Especially those sword eyebrows and starry eyes are still attractive. 2 eyes seem like vast starry sky. It seems to contain infinite mysteries. Since meeting Cao Bin in Chenlu, her life has been opened with a brand new door. Various observations and insights from the other party made her feel that what she used to call reading poetry and books was all empty. Cao Bin is always able to propose various novel viewpoints and share rare insights. Astronomy and geography are omniscient. Immerse her eager to learn in it, unable to extricate herself. Especially the white paper made by the other party, as well as the handwriting called Thin Gold Body, made her even more infatuated. When the other party mentioned traveling around the world, she seemed to be possessed and nodded in agreement without even thinking about it. So much so that sitting in a carriage now feels like a distant world. The carriage was extremely quiet, allowing Kai Yan to clearly hear his heart beating fiercely. She fully understands how vivid little deer ranging is. Ding, a faint sound echoed in Cao Bin's mind, immersed in his thoughts. Cao Cao was awarded the title of Hero of Governance and Chaos. Initial task completed, system empowerment begins. Please choose Xiaoxiong to embark on the journey of robbing the Han dynasty, or choose Nengchen to embark on the path of becoming a strong man. Without hesitation, Cao Bin clicked on the words capable minister. Select Nengchen System. Conquer and cultivate Nengchen, which can earn various system rewards and Nengchen points. Skills and items can be exchanged in the system store. Initial task reward. Open property panel. Cao Bin observed in his mind that a game-like panel popped up. Cao Bin, Force. 80, Command. 80, Intelligence. 80, Internal Affairs. 80, Charm. 80. Cao Cao was shocked by the 4 paper rolls and gained an additional 40 points of freedom. Please choose to add points. Cao Bin did not hesitate at all, focusing on his strength and charm. Force. 100, activate hidden skill. Divine power, effect. Infinite force, charm. 100. Activate hidden skill. Destiny Offender Peach Blossom, effect. Double the attraction to the opposite sex and double the attraction to historically famous women, not bad, Cao Bin secretly said. The series of gains from opening the system did not waste his efforts. Azu. Sneezing fiercely, Cao Bin gently rubbed his nose. I don't know who really misses him. Meng Yi. Kai Yan's eyebrows furrowed slightly, and she called out to Cao Bin to express her concern and inquire. Did you drink and sing loudly last night, infecting the wind and cold? Don't worry, Zhaoji. It's okay, Cao Bin chuckled and turned his head to gaze at the beautiful woman beside him. Kai Yan didn't turn his head, his face blushed with embarrassment. I was seen by the other party before, but today my heart beats like it's exploding. Extremely moving. She quickly changed the topic and said, why am I waiting here to go to Zhuo County? By the way, when can my father return to the Central Plains? Cao Bin firmly said, the day we return from Yuzhou will be when Zhaoji sees Kai Shi again. Kai Yan's eyes were filled with excitement. Cao Bin's prophecy has never been overly erroneous. She clenched her powder fist and couldn't wait to return from Yuzhou. As for us going to Zhuo County. Cao Bin slightly lengthened his voice, attracting Kai Yan's attention. Then he said, find capable officials to govern the Taiping rebellion. Ah! Kai Yan's expression changed, rebellion. How could this be possible? After a moment of contemplation, she said. I heard from servants that the Taiping road travels throughout the world, using talisman water to treat the poor and save countless people. He also distributed food to the refugees, and he has a good reputation among the people. How could he rebel? It's not that she doesn't believe Lu Ang's prophecy, but that what she says is too magical. Cao Bin disdainfully said, by using thousands of talismans and coincidentally saving one person, the magic of talisman water has been widely spread. It's actually a survivor deviation. Only talking about one person's medical life, but not seeing thousands of deaths due to illness. Let's talk about distributing rations. It is called guanyin soil, not grain solid soil. Eating it does not make one hungry, but it causes refugees' stomachs to swell, making it difficult to use the toilet and suffocating them to death. Such a sect seems to be for the people, but it is actually a cult. It was the first time Kai Yan had heard Cao Bin explain the Taiping road, as if he had been present in person. Various secrets provoked her to lightly lift her vermilion lips, unable to conceal her surprised expression. Turns out that Taiping road was actually a person who harmed the people. There are many believers among the people, but it is unexpected that it is indeed a way to harm others. She shook her head repeatedly and said, years of famine, lack of food harvest, and displacement of the people. If one is tempted by this way to rebel, I don't know how many people can survive. Sigh. With a sigh, Kai Yan felt sorrowful. She asked with a low mood, I wonder when the Taiping road rebelled. Is there enough time for me to wait? Cao Bin retorted without answering, what is the current date of the month? Although Kai Yan was puzzled, he replied, we have been departing from Chenlu for more than 10 days. It's already the 9th day of February. Cao Bin said in a low and deep voice, the heavens are dead, and the yellow sky should stand. The Taiping road has almost reversed. On the day we arrived in Zhuo County, it was the time when the imperial court's grand parade was held throughout the world. Kai Yan's expression changed continuously. Cao Bin had predicted too many things before, all of which were realized without any deviation. And this time, how much she hopes it will fail. But she knew it was impossible. Disappointed Kai Yan sat in front of the guqin to the side, gently swaying the strings. Dong previously, Cao Bin taught her the melody to slowly flow out. The lingering sound lingers endlessly around the beam. The grandeur carries a sense of worldly vicissitudes. Cao Bin followed the melody and sang loudly. The rolling Yangtze River flows eastward, and the waves wash away heroes, whether it's right or wrong, success or failure, turning the tide. The green mountains are still here, and the sunset has turned red a few times. The deep and resounding singing shook Cai Yan's heart. Immerse her in the lyrics for a long time, unable to extricate herself. The sound of the qin accompanied the singing, and Cai Yan exclaimed passionately, "If I were a man, I would ride a horse with you on the battlefield. Bring a 3-foot sword, eliminate thieves and ensure peace for the people." Although the voice is delicate, the emotions are real. Cai Yan's eyes were bright, and women were not inferior to men's eyebrows. Cao Bin lifted the curtains and looked out at the desolate winter wilderness outside the carriage. The plain of Jizhou is desolate. A single spark can start a prairie fire. When the red flag spreads throughout the world, it will be the day when the Han people's glory is recast. Cai Yan glanced sideways, greatly moved. The person in front of me is full of talent and accurate in prophecy. Having excellent knowledge and lofty aspirations. Such a man, the world will never find a second one again. A palpitating sensation swept through his heart, and Cai Yan's gaze gradually became blurred. Chapter 4. The Taiping Road has reversed. Coming to Zhuo County is not. You are listening at Novel FUL. Audio. Cao Cao rode horses with a few followers galloping rapidly on the wilderness. From a distance, one can see the city gate of Zhuo County. Running around for days, eating and sleeping outdoors. Make him exhausted. Stop. Leading the team to the city gate, Cao Cao saw a common person holding a wooden plaque high. It's written in that stunning font. Cao Mengda went to the restaurant to find me. Cao Cao whispered out the text above, his eyes flashing brightly. Cao Bin's series of strategies transformed him into a marionette, shaking him once again. Leading a horse into the city gate of Zhuo County, he ordered his followers to investigate and head straight to the restaurant. Before he arrived, he heard the sound of the guqin coming from afar. That is a melody that he has never heard of, despite his love for rhythm. The blade and sword shadows have dimmed, the drumbeats are ringing in the distance. A delicate female voice came from the tavern, gentle and melodious, like a aureole. The pedestrians on the street stopped to admire. Cao Cao paused as he was about to step over the threshold of the restaurant. A familiar voice. He was taken aback and frowned. How could she be in Zhuo County? The singing continues, with an endless melancholy in its melodious tone. Bring Cao Cao's emotions into it, rising and falling with the lyrics. It feels like experiencing the passage of time and the progress of history. The familiar female voice ended, and the male voice rose again. No one can determine the rise or fall, and there is no basis for prosperity or decline. A page of wind and clouds scattered, changing time and space, gathering and dispersing are all fate, separation and reunion are all emotions. Take on the responsibility of life's past events. How can you remember the comments behind you? Cao Cao was immersed in the lyrics, paired with the melody, which made his emotions fluctuate. The owner of this voice that comes to mind. Cao Bin. Subsequently, Cai Yan's appearance reappeared. He couldn't help but think of a word. A perfect match. Tsk tisk. Cao Cao hissed. Although I don't know why the two of them got together, they came to Zhuo County together. But he was extremely envious of Cao Bin. Capturing the heart of Zhaoji is not something that ordinary people can do. Talent, knowledge, appearance, and temperament are all indispensable. Cao Cao shook his head and smiled bitterly. He had no chance in his life. Thinking of Cai Yong, a teacher in the Imperial Academy, who was exiled to Shufang County and whose life and death were unknown, he couldn't help but lament the waste of life. Paired with the lyrics just now, the sentiment is doubled. Bang! Cai Yan, who was playing the music at the end of the restaurant, had a broken string in his hand. Cao Bin looked out and said in a loud voice, "Where are you looking for a close friend in the ends of the earth? Who are you?" Cao Cao was initially stunned and spoke confidently in secret. Then he restrained his emotions, applauded and strode into the restaurant. Good lyrics. Good music. Good singing. Easy to follow. As he walked while praising, he knelt down and sat down in front of Cao Bin and Cai Yan. Take a left glance at Cai Yan, a right glance at Cao Bin, and then marvel at the beauty of a talented woman. Mengda. Cai Yan covered his mouth and coquettishly exclaimed, then his face turned red with embarrassment. Cao Cao's words of being easy to sing and easy to follow reminded her of being a husband singing and a woman following. She secretly glanced at Cao Bin beside her, only to find that the other party was also looking at her. Cai Yan, who was bustling with deer, quickly lowered his head and his face turned even redder. Cao Cao shook his head and licked his tongue, alas. With a sigh, he said, the famous flower has its master, and the flowing water has no intention. After speaking, he picked up the wine cup and drank it all in one gulp. Putting down the wine cup, he looked at Cao Bin with envy in his eyes and said, my younger brother is accompanied by a beautiful woman, wandering the mountains and rivers. How happy he is. I really envy you, brother. Cao Bin said solemnly, I came to Zhuo County this time to do some business. What's the point? Cao Cao hesitated for a moment, then joked with a smile, to win the heart of a beautiful woman, I have traveled thousands of miles to visit the Han region. It is indeed a matter of business. Cai Yan was so shy that she wanted to find a crack in the ground and quickly walked under the table with her head down. Cao Bin said seriously again, the Taiping road has been reversed. The smile on Cao Cao's face collapsed completely. He originally didn't believe it, but he thought of the 4 paper rolls before. There is no deviation from what is said. This. Cao Cao furrowed his brow, is it true? Cao Bin remained calm and whispered, the heavens are dead, and the yellow sky should stand. Before his words could be finished, the streets outside the restaurant echoed with the voices of children spreading the news. At the age of Jia, the world is in good fortune. Taiping Road Rebellion. Uprising wrapped in yellow scarves, the world is in chaos. Cao Cao stood up and ran 3 steps in 2 to the outside of the restaurant. The streets are filled with news of the Yellow Turban Rebellion. People passing by stop and discuss. How could that be so? The Yellow Turban Rebellion brought him too much surprise, but it was not as surprising as Cao Bin's prophecy. If it weren't for what he saw with his own eyes, Cao Cao would never have believed it. Quickly returning to the table, he leaned against Cao Bin and asked in a low voice. How did my younger brother know that the Taiping Road was rebelling at this time? Why did you come to Zhuo County? What are the weapons here that can suppress rebellion? Continuous questions were spoken from him, and Cao Cao anxiously waited for the answer. Cai Yan, who was kneeling on the side, was equally curious, blinking his big eyes in anticipation. Cao Bin stood up without answering and walked straight out, follow me. Cai Yan quickly followed, afraid of being left behind. Cao Cao, who was frozen, took a deep breath before converging from his surprise and quickly followed. Zhuo County City Gate. The people and merchants who came and went stopped to watch the official poster. The Taiping Rebellion is recruiting volunteers to conquer the bandits and suppress the rebellion. Standing in the crowd, Cao Bin loudly read out the rankings, attracting the attention of the onlookers. The handsome face and elegant temperament immediately caused a commotion. Outside the crowd, a person with big ears stood on tiptoe to look, guessing in his heart that the 3 of them were dressed in gorgeous clothes and didn't look like the locals of Zhuo County. Where did the children of a noble family come from? Just about to squeeze into the crowd, but was pushed away by a powerful black hand. Get up. Let me, Lao Zhang, take a look inside. A burly, black-faced man squeezed into the crowd in 3 or 2, and came to Cao Bin's side. He was immediately shocked by the other person's appearance and temperament on the spot. His eyes widened like copper bells, and the burly man looked up and down, looking at them again and again. What a handsome scholar! He, who has always been a good scholar, suddenly felt a sense of friendship in his heart. Chapter 5. Don't be impatient when fishing for big fish. Those who need it will take the bait. You are listening at Novel FUL. Audio. Cao Bin looked at the person coming. A burly man with a face as black as charcoal, wearing a black robe. Staring at him with two circular eyes. Swallow chin and tiger beard, tiger back and bare waist. Even without physical exertion, one can see in a strong body that strength is bound to be extraordinary. Cao Cao also looked up, and the short one needed to look up to see the other person's appearance clearly. Focusing on observing the strong physique of the other party, he appears very imposing in the dark. If you bring it to the battlefield and wear a yellow scarf, you are definitely a good hand. Must be invincible. Cai Yan took a horizontal step and hid behind Cao Bin. She was very scared when faced with a strong and imposing man. Only by standing behind Cao Bin can one feel safe. Sigh. A sigh sounded outside the onlookers, breaking the silence of the scene. The burly man turned his head and was about to speak, but was first questioned by Cao Bin. Why do you sigh here when your husband doesn't contribute to the country? Cough cough. The strong man was choked to the point of severe coughing. In my heart, I thought to myself. How could the words that I had in mind be taken away by this handsome Confucian scholar? And there's no missing word. What a surprise. After finishing speaking, Cao Bin spread his arms and pulled Cai Yan into his arms, then walked out of the crowd under his protection. Cao Cao quickly followed. The strong man came to his senses from surprise and was about to speak out and make friends, only to find that the handsome scholar was no longer there. Hey! Where has the person gone? As he tiptoed to look around, he noticed the three figures entering the city gate. He quickly squeezed out of the crowd and chased after him. That person just now must not be ordinary, we must seize the opportunity to make friends with each other. The strong man hurried away. The person with big ears outside the circle stood still. He thought the handsome scholar who squeezed out the crowd was coming towards him. But I never thought that the other person walked past him without any intention of greeting. This made him extremely disappointed. The various words that had already been prepared in my heart fell through and became useless. The big-eared man sighed and shook his head, picked up 2 rolls of mats, and walked into the city gate towards the market. My brother, why did you leave in a hurry? Cao Cao tried his best to catch up, but Cao Bin's pace was big and fast, which made it very difficult for him to follow. He said as he ran, that burly and strong man just now must have been brave. When it comes to employing people like this, why not accept them? Don't be impatient when fishing for big fish, Cao Bin said as he walked, his speed not slowing down at all. The person in need takes the bait. He smiled and looked down at the woman in his arms. One word has 2 meanings. Cai Yan, still held in Cao Bin's arms, was both surprised and delighted, and quickly lowered his head. Such intimate contact. It's still the first time. Does it mean that Cao Bin treated her thinking of this? She buried her head in the other person's arms and her face turned red. Exhale like orchids. Fishing. Cao Cao looked puzzled and sighed inwardly. Whether it's intelligence or seductive skills, they are all crushed by Cao Bin. So where are we going now? He spoke up to inquire. I feel like all my thoughts are being led by the other person. The feeling of Cao Bin controlling everything made him feel even more magical. Why did the once ordinary younger brother grow up like this? Even his brother, who has always been quick-witted, cannot guess what the other person is thinking. Seeing Cao Cao's younger brother, the doubts not only did not decrease, but also increased. He, who wanted to investigate what the other party was doing, followed closely in his footsteps, afraid of being left behind. Cao Bin hugged Cai Yan and quickly arrived at the market in the city of Zhuo County. Find a tea stand and sit in the corner. Why did you come to the market? Cao Cao asked a pot of tea to sit down and couldn't wait to ask. Watching the play, Cao Bin said without turning his head, as he looked at the various vendors nearby. By the way, I'll take a look at the play. Cao Cao was even more puzzled. What exactly is this little brother up to? Why is the winning ticket in hand? He felt that his mind was about to be overwhelmed by more and more questions. Why are there so many as 100000? Cao Bin observed the market and saw a handsome bearded man with a reddish face pushing a cart to find an open space. Then remove the 2 burlap bags and open them, revealing the beans inside. Cao Cao stood behind Cao Bin and looked in the direction of the other person's gaze, his eyes suddenly lit up. Strong! He exclaimed in admiration, with such a physique, it looks like you can fight. That beard is also very beautiful. In no time, the big-eared person carrying 2 rolls of seats on their shoulders also came to the market. Searching for vacant land to set up stalls and sell seats. Cao Cao also followed Cao Bin's gaze and said, this doesn't work. You can tell from your physique that you are not good at martial arts. Cao Cao shook his head repeatedly. An impatient shout rang out in the market, if you say you can't sell, then you can't sell. The vendor standing behind the pork stall put down his meat cutter and looked displeased. He walked up to the mouth of the market and pointed to the grinding wheel covered on it, feeling annoyed. My master puts the pork in this well. If you can move the grinder, I will give it all to you. Do you still believe that you can't sell it? The handsome bearded man stood up and walked to the well, pointing to the millstone and saying, can you move this millstone and get the meat inside? Are you serious? Of course it's true. The vendor looked disdainful. This grinding wheel weighs several hundred pounds and was personally placed by the master of our innate divine power. He looked at the big man beside him and waved his hand, saying, Hu Zichang's beauty is useless. Before the words fell, the big man bent down and went to move. The people in the market were shocked on the spot, excited and discussing how easy it was to move. Oh! Get up! This big man has at least obtained 100 pounds of pork. Chapter 6. One Power, Holding 2 Divine Power People. You are listening at Novel FUL.audio. The big man raised the grinding wheel high and then set it aside. It's as easy as holding an empty basket. Bang! The tremendous movement of the grinding disc hitting the ground fully demonstrates its weight. The big man stroked his beautiful beard and pointed to Jing Haoshuang, saying, cut the pork in the well and share it with the people present. The vendor was about to refuse when he saw the big man kick over the heavy millstone. He quickly swallowed back the words that had reached his mouth, returned to the meat stall, and cut the meat to share with the people. Thank you, hero. The people spoke out in admiration. The market was suddenly bustling with people. The big man came to the stall and held down the person who had just wanted to buy pork. You're dressed in gorgeous clothes, not an ordinary person, pay for it. The person was about to defend himself, but was pinched by the big man and scared to the point where he quickly paid. Amidst the cheers, the big man returned to 2 bags of mung beans and sat back on the wooden cart to continue selling beans. Cao Cao praised while stroking the goat's beard. This great man gains meat without monopolizing it, knowing how to share it with others and empathize with the people. And restrict wealthy households from taking it for free. My character is really good. In addition, with Kong's powerful martial arts, it is inevitable that he will be the right-hand man. He looked eagerly at Cao Bin beside him, only to find that he had no intention of making friends with him. This surprised Cao Cao greatly. How could one sit so firmly on the fishing platform? Kai Yan poured 2 cups of tea, handed it to Cao Bin, and then gave Cao Cao another cup. Seeing Cao Bin take a sip, she was overjoyed. As for what happened in the market, she didn't care. The big-eared man who sold the banquet bowed to the big man with a fist. The brave man is generous and generous. Lu admires him. The big man nodded slightly in greeting, but remained proud and silent. Cao Cao tugged at Xiao Bin's sleeve and said, "If you don't make friends at this moment, you might be taken away by someone with a sword." However, his words did not touch the other party at all. He stood up and said urgently, "If you don't go, I'll go too." Just took a step, but was pulled back by a huge force. Xiao Bin pushed Cao Cao back to his original position and said, "Don't be impatient. This person needs to be subdued by force, can you do it?" He looked up and down with a smile on his face. Cao Cao's expression darkened as he shook his head helplessly and admitted, "It's really not possible." He has a full understanding of his martial arts skills. Faced with the handsome bearded man who had just gained divine power that day, none of the five of them were enough for the other to fight. I tried to persuade again, but was interrupted by Xiao Bin's words. "I can't eat hot tofu in a hurry." Xiao Bin turned his head to look in the direction of the market street and said, "We'll kill two birds with one arrow later." Cao Cao frowned, lost in thought. Kai Yan was full of curiosity and said, "Two eagles with one arrow. Which two eagles are they?" The scene of the city gate reading the leaderboard suddenly came to Cao Cao's mind, and he suddenly realized, "Is it?" Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by a thunderous roar. "Up! Who stole Lao Zhang's pork and gave it to others for free? Stand up for me. Here we go." Xiao Bin smiled and said, "The two eagles are in place. Using force to subdue him." Cao Cao frowned tightly. "Look at the person who came rolling up their sleeves, revealing their thick and sturdy arms, as well as the arms of the bean seller who didn't show much tolerance." He couldn't believe that Xiao Bin could use force to subdue both of them at the same time. If the matter of strategy can be understood suddenly, and the matter of prophecy can be understood. But martial arts are something that has been refined over the years and cannot be achieved in a single day. Cao Cao looked at the figures of the two strong men and shook his head vigorously, "Impossible, absolutely impossible." The handsome bearded man squinted his eyes and stood up, facing the imposing newcomer without any fear, walking straight forward. "Speak openly and honestly. Meat is a part of everyone. It's what your servant said, if you lift the millstone covering the well, you can get the pork inside. Don't you count your words?" The questioning echoed in the market, and the big man's gaze became sharp. "Humph." The black-faced man chuckled, "Pork is not yours. Of course, giving it to others doesn't hurt. Watch me beat you up." Before he could finish speaking, he took a sudden step forward and punched with his fist. The handsome bearded man raised his arm to block, "If you're going back and forth, then don't blame me for being impolite. Look at the move. Two people fighting in one place. Mutual attack and defense, with strong fists and punches." A burst of cheers echoed all around. Someone applauds, someone blows the whistle, "It's not lively." Cao Cao's gaze lit up as he looked, "These two people have excellent martial arts skills. In addition, with infinite force, being able to lift a heavy grinding wheel is truly a fierce warrior's posture." Kai Yan put down the teacup in his hand, and a brilliant light appeared in his blinking eyes. Could it be that Xiao Bin came to the bitter cold land of Yuzhou just to subdue these two big men in front of him and become fierce generals? But how did he know that there were these two fierce men in Zhuo County? How do you know you can meet at the market? A series of questions surfaced in Kai Yan's heart, making it even more difficult for her to understand and recognize the people around her who had been around for some time. Amazing. Two strong men fought fiercely, and after the first few rounds of bravery, the black-faced strong man was repeatedly counterattacked by the bearded man. The momentum gradually weakened and fell to the downwind. The person with big ears who sells seats observes the situation and wants to make friends with the two. Seeing the opportunity, he steps forward and is ready to persuade the two. Just as I was about to raise my hand and grab their arms, I saw a tall figure coming first. Accurately grabbed the arms of the two fighting men before him. Two strong men turned their heads at the same time, glaring angrily at the person who interrupted their struggle. But it was discovered that the handsome face was the person reading the official list in front of the city gate. Cao Bin smiled and forcefully separated the arms of the two strong men. Press down and go. Divine power, skill activated, infinite power. The two strong men's faces changed greatly. They, who are born with divine power, have never encountered people who are equally matched in terms of power. Not to mention people who can surpass them. Moreover, the handsome Confucian scholar in front of me was still pressing the hands of both of them at the same time. What kind of power is this? Chapter 7, My dear Guan Yu. I am Zhang Fei. May I follow the English? You are listening at novel FUL.audio. The two strong men were dissatisfied and increased their strength one after another. Not only do the muscles on the arms burst, but the entire body's strength is also mobilized. Tight all over, the strength is maximized. However, the trend of arms being pressed still cannot be stopped. The two of them were shocked. Two strong men who can lift a few hundred pounds of grinding discs cannot match a handsome Confucian scholar. Shame too. The big-eared person in close proximity was so shocked that he was completely exhausted. The people around the market were also shocked. How powerful is this? I'm afraid it can knock down the city gate with bare hands. A Confucian scholar with such strength will never be seen in 3 lifetimes. The onlookers were discussing extensively. Kai Yan's 2 big eyes lit up with brilliance. I couldn't move away from staring at Cao Bin. I thought I knew each other well enough, but suddenly realized that they still have advantages. And if you don't make a move, it's already there. With just one move, you can steadily suppress 2 strong men. She couldn't imagine how many unexpected advantages Cao Bin had. This brave performance gave Kai Yan a sense of security. Being with such a man will never be bullied by others. How could this be? Cao Cao's cup of tea trembled uncontrollably. He, whose eyes were so wide that he was about to fall to the ground, could not accept what was happening before him no matter what. He reached out and pinched his arm fiercely, the intense pain making him gasp for breath. It's not a dream. It's true. Cao Bin used his own strength to hold down 2 powerful men. Cao Cao's heart turned upside down. How on earth did his younger brother achieve all of this? Adventure. Squinting his eyes as he looked at Cao Bin, a word appeared in his heart. He can only connect the other person's improvement with this word. Otherwise, how could it suddenly become very powerful in all aspects? He, who has always considered himself exceptionally intelligent, cannot achieve such a comprehensive approach. Cao Cao licked his tongue repeatedly. The younger brother in front of me is no longer the clumsy guy with only appearance and figure. But to become a genius who is both civil and military. The feeling of envy swept through Cao Cao's heart, causing him to gradually become lost and uncomfortable. If he had the appearance and physique of Cao Bin, as well as the strength of his martial arts, would he be able to rise up in the court and achieve his ideals? He conceived ideas in his mind, arousing endless imagination. I can't stop at all. Both heroes have abilities, why not contribute to the country? Cao Bin still held down the arms of the 2 strong men and asked in a deep voice. As soon as the words were spoken, the shock on both faces turned into shame. If you don't join the army and make a name for yourself, but are willing to be a small business and vendor here, Cao Bin continued to question regardless of their expressions. Is it the work of heroes and heroes? The resounding words deeply stimulated the emotions of the 2 strong men. Guan is ashamed. The bearded man shook his head and sighed. With a light arm, the handsome Confucian scholar released his hand. He quickly clasped his fists and saluted. My dear Guan Yu, Guan Yunchang, please ask for the hero's name. The strong man on the side followed closely behind, clenched his fists and said in a rough voice, Me too. His words blurted out, and it was only then that he realized something was amiss. Quickly added, I am Zhang Fei and Zhang Yi, also asking for the name of the hero. It's amazing that we can both subdue these two strong men with force at the same time. Let me be convinced. If you don't know the hero's name in this life, you will regret it for life. Guan Yu nodded vigorously on the side in agreement. It seems that the two of them are not enemies who have just fought fiercely, but brothers with a deep understanding in their hearts. The villain Liu Bei and Liu Xuande follow the two heroes to ask for the names of the heroes. Liu Bei quickly interjected on the side. If he slows down by half a minute, he won't have a chance. At this moment of making heroes, we must seize it tightly. Cao Bin clasped his fists and saluted Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, saying, I am Cao Bin from Chao County, Pegua, Chaomenyi. Traveling around the world, passing through Zhuo County, I happened to see two brave warriors fighting. When I think about the Yellow Turban Rebellion in the world, I feel it. That's why I came here to persuade. Guan Yu squinted his eyes and said in a deep voice, the Taiping road is truly despicable for deceiving the people. The current rebellion is actually a great rebellion and immorality. Zhang Fei roughly agreed, indeed. Liu Bei nodded forcefully as he took a step forward, desperately trying to fit into the circle. Guan Yu shook his head and sighed, Guan wants to serve his country, but unfortunately he can't find a way. Sigh. Zhang Fei's widened eyes twitched as he suggested, I see that Brother Cao is both skilled in literature and martial arts. If he could lead us to gather the local heroes. I'll definitely beat up that damn yellow scarf. Even his grandmother doesn't know me. Guan Yu's eyebrows relaxed and his gaze lit up. If that's really the case, it's bound to be a big deal. The two exchanged a glance and saw a tacit understanding on each other's faces. Then he turned his head to look at Cao Bin with great anticipation in his eyes. Liu Bei was about to speak, but was preempted by Cao Bin. When a man encounters injustice on the road, he will definitely take action when he needs to. Cao Bin spoke solemnly, and the loud voice spread through the market. One sentence made Guan Yu and Zhang Fei both very excited. They, who have always been chivalrous and righteous, love such bold words the most. Passionate and passionate, I feel my passion multiply. The two felt the emotional fluctuations around each other, and their feelings were more in sync. Throw the displeasure from the previous battle directly to the back of your mind. Cao Bin continued, when I heard the news of the Yellow Turban Rebellion, I had the intention of gathering the villagers to quell it. How can one be human without possessing martial arts skills and not breaking through thieves and ensuring peace for the people? Since the two warriors are interested, I would like to invite both of you to join. He asked solemnly, Yun Changjiide, are you willing to join me in killing enemies and ensuring peace for the people? Guan Yu clenched his fists again and said, lucky for 3 lives. Zhang Fei also clenched his fists with force, his beard trembling uncontrollably with a snap, I'm the same. The loud words of the two shook everyone's ears in the market. Chapter 8. Divine General Cao Bin. Golden Boy and Jade Girl. Cao Binzhi. You are listening at Novel FUL.audio. Cao Cao's gaze outside the crowd was fixed on Cao Bin without moving. To subdue oneself with martial arts, and to attack one's heart with loyalty, my younger brother's way of governing people is impeccable. No wonder I didn't rush to make friends just now. I was waiting for the most appropriate moment to take action. Such keen insight and a calm mind are truly admirable. Upon hearing Cao Cao's low voice explanation, Kai Yan's 2 big eyes shone even more brightly. Such a brilliant man must be tightly grasped, otherwise he will regret for life. This hero is not only fighting against thieves and pacifying the people, but I, Liu Xuande, am also willing to do my part. Standing on the side, Liu Bei seized the opportunity and immediately interjected. He bowed his hands and made the most of the etiquette. Afraid that the handsome scholar in front of me would refuse. Before Cao Bin could speak, Zhang Fei frowned and rebuked, you have big ears and long arms, and you don't show any martial arts skills. Don't waste our time here. Killing enemies in battle is not a joke, it's a matter of putting your head on your belt and life and death only in a moment. He waved his hand towards the distant market and shouted in a rough voice, leave quickly. Be your street vendor, stay at home and live a good life on the ground. If you don't have that martial arts skills, you won't want to go to battle and kill the enemy. After Zhang Fei finished speaking, he ignored Liu Bei and turned his head to grin the most pleasing smile of his life. I have a village outside the city, please go with 2 heroes. The 3 of us can drink and chat freely. Please. Zhang Fei cordially invites. Cao Bin replied straightforwardly, that's great. A pot of turbid wine brings joy to each other, and many things from ancient to modern times are being discussed with laughter. Drinking and chatting happily, this is the pleasure of life. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei were both surprised. Guan Yu sighed and said, the hero speaks eloquently and exudes literary talent, yet he is full of great righteousness and heroism, which is admirable. Zhang Fei said, me too. Cao Cao, who was standing outside the crowd, exclaimed in a low voice, congratulations to my younger brother in advance for winning 2 fierce generals. I don't know if these 2 people have the same level of martial arts skills as Yuan Rangmiao, who is more familiar than Yuan Rangmiao. Be sure to introduce and compete when you have time. Cao Bin strode towards the outside of the circle, and the people surrounding him immediately retreated to both sides, consciously making way for a path. At the end of the path, Kai Yan stood gracefully. Discovering the people in the market, the gaze followed Cao Bin as he approached, and fell on her. She suddenly felt shy all over her face. How talented and beautiful. Zhang Feihuan widened his eyes, envious to the point where both nostrils widened. Sigh. He let out a rough sigh. It's like comparing goods to throwing them away, and comparing people to death. The Cao brothers have a decent background, unparalleled appearance, majestic figure, and are both civil and military. There is still a beautiful woman by my side, and I. Zhang Fei looked up and down at himself. The huge defeat made him particularly uncomfortable. On the side, Guan Yu stroked his beautiful beard and shook his head, saying, I am the same. This is my elder brother, Cao Cao and Cao Mengde, Cao Bin said. Zhang Fei hesitated and pointed to Cao Cao and Cao Bin, brother. Guan Yu is equally curious. The difference between the 2, regardless of their height and appearance, is significant. It can even be described as the difference between heaven and earth. What have you experienced during your growth process that led to such confusion? Ah. Cao Cao's face was gloomy. He originally intended to greet him with boldness, but was pinned in place by the questioning gaze of Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. He needs to look up to see the expressions on the faces of the 2 strong men, who are short. The crimson face was full of confusion, while on the other black face, how could a playful expression appear? Cao Cao was greatly ashamed. He, who was naturally suspicious, suddenly felt that his father had been done something when he was young. Taking up Kai Yan's hand, Cao Bin turned his head and called out, Ida. Oh. Zhang Fei came to his senses from his imagination, let's go, let's go. He took the initiative to lead the way and said, since we are brothers, let's go drink and chat at my village together. A few people left together, and rumors suddenly spread throughout the market. Gao Dujuan, Langwen Wu Shuangchuan, Cao Bin has a great background. It must be golden branches and jade leaves. Divine power Cao Bin. Easily subdue 2 naturally powerful men. Golden boy and jade girl. Immortal couple. Cao Bin and his daughter descended together like celestial fairies. Standing in the city center, Liu Bei felt lost as he watched several distant figures spread various news. Not getting along with Cao Bin, a big shot, made him extremely uncomfortable. Is it destined for him to weave mats and sell shoes in this lifetime? Can only be a small vendor. He's not willing. Clenching his fist tightly, his nails pierced into his skin fiercely, and Liu Bei's eyes were about to crack. After some contemplation, his gaze gradually became firm. He returned to the stall and generously presented the 2 rows of seats to the crowd, then left. As Cao Bin said, since one has great ambitions, one cannot settle in this small place and willingly become a vendor. Go to Jiqing and join the army, you must make a name for yourself. Let that Zhang Fei see, even Lu Xuande can go to battle and kill the enemy. Let Cao Bin regret not paying attention to him, a hero with great potential. In Zhangjiazhuang outside the city, Zhang Fei hosted a banquet to entertain Cao Bin and his companions. Although he was the head of the family, he respectfully supported Cao Bin to the throne. It's not appropriate. Cao Bin refused, I'm sitting in the main seat, competing with others. Zhang Fei wanted to use brute force, but he couldn't shake the other party no matter how hard he tried. Helpless persuasion said, Brother Cao has boundless strength, which I admire immensely. If you don't sit on this throne, how dare we have the face to sit? Indeed, that's true, said Guan Yu in agreement. Kai Yan saw it in his eyes and was delighted in his heart. Being admired by 2 brave warriors is enough to showcase Cao Bin's charm. Such temperament must be a hero. Cao Cao stood silently on the side, with only envy in his eyes. However, Cao Bin is his younger brother, and the 2 grew up together since childhood, and their relationship is very close. The younger brothers is the older brothers, although envious, there is no jealousy. Most importantly, he felt that the current Cao Bin was worthy of such admiration. Even if his elder brother is by his side, today's position must still be held by Cao Bin. Let virtue not let longevity. In Chapter 9, Cao Bin's words were astonishing, and Guan Yu and Zhang Fei exclaimed in surprise. You are listening at Novel FUL. Audio. Cao Cao, who had been in the court for many years, detested the theory of seniority based on seniority the most. Many times, he was criticized by Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu for his corrupt thinking and disrespect for the elders and children. But he still insists, why should those without ability occupy high positions? The path to strength lies in the presence of the capable. The various abilities demonstrated by Cao Bin made him willingly give up his position. Cao Cao took the initiative to speak and said, my younger brother should take the main seat. As he approached Cao Bin, he tiptoed up and tried his best to reach up and press his hand on the other person's shoulder. The main position belongs to you. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei echoed loudly, the main position belongs to no hero. Kai Yan on the side saw the actions of the 3 of them. How many people can praise Cao Bin, which makes her feel proud? Since that's the case, it's disrespectful. Cao Bin no longer declined and took the throne. Kai Yan quickly took 2 steps and knelt down next to Cao Bin. Zhang Fei was overjoyed and waved his hand, serve the wine. As the master, he greeted Cao Cao and Guan Yu to sit down while filling the wine bowls for a few people. Cao Cao observed silently. It's really nice to be so rough but with some details in it. Come on. Cao Bin took the lead in raising his wine bowl. I am equivalent to meeting here, it is actually fate. The resounding voice echoed in the lobby. Drink this glass to the brim. Then he lifted his bowl and drank it all in one gulp, his clean and straightforward movements, as well as his generous gulps of alcohol, which excited both Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. Everyone raised their bowls and drank heartily. Cao Cao followed. Ha ha ha. The few people who put down their wine bowls smiled at each other. Different laughter converged together, like thunder piercing through the ears, making it even more heroic. Guan Yu filled his wine bowl again and apologized to Zhang Fei, I just shared my brother's pork in the market. I'm really sorry. Zhang Fei immediately waved his hand and said, Hey. Brother, that's not right. I'm just pretending to want to fight you. How could one be so happy to meet someone with such divine power? Why bother mentioning just pork? However. He turned his head to look at Cao Bin in the main position, holding a wine bowl. Unexpectedly, the two of us, who are known for our innate divine powers, cannot shake the Cao brothers at all. I dare not mention the name of this divine power again in the future. The only divine power in the world is Brother Cao. Guan Yu nodded vigorously, his eyes filled with fiery heat. I absolutely agree. A few people drank and chatted happily, each expressing their own opinions. Cao Bin's unique insights and novel insights into the current situation have repeatedly impressed several people. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei admired him to the point of falling to the ground. Listening to Brother Chao's words, it's better to read for 10 years. Guan Yu exclaimed excitedly. Zhang Fei agreed, me too. Although Cao Cao admired it equally, he had more doubts. Cao Bin's insight into the current situation made him, who has always had unique ideas, feel like he hit the nail on the head. How could my younger brother, who has not entered the court as an official, know so many secrets? What exactly is this for? Such information acquisition and analysis capabilities cannot be possessed overnight. How did this younger brother refine himself? Cao Cao was puzzled by his thoughts. He felt that the original 100,000 Ys in his heart suddenly increased to 1,000,000. As long as you associate the figure of Cao Bin, countless questions constantly arise in your mind. I can't stop at all. Ah. Zhang Fei put down his wine bowl and sighed. Although there are people in my village, there is no iron. Unable to forge weapons. It's easy to gather local heroes, but it's even harder to form a fighting force. On the side, Guan Yu's face darkened. It's true that we can't confront the enemy with bare hands and empty fists. What should we do? The two of them looked uneasy. Zhuo County is remote, and it is not easy to obtain a large amount of refined iron for forging weapons in a short period of time, Cao Cao said. The number of weapons required for at least a few hundred people is definitely not small. If it were in Nanyang, there wouldn't be such a difficult problem. Cao Cao looked at Cao Bin, waiting for his advice. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei also looked at it, and the two of them were eagerly anticipating it. Cao Bin put down his wine bowl and, as the three of them gazed at him, said. Don't worry. Let's first rally the villagers' courage. Naturally, someone voluntarily came to give away high-quality wrought iron. This. Zhang Fei raised his hand and scratched his head, not knowing what to say. Guan Yu furrowed his brows and was also at a loss. Cao Cao is different from the two of them, he firmly believes it. Cao Bin had already shown too much magic before, and his words never fell through. Not this time either. Cao Bin saw all three of their expressions in his eyes. He picked up the wine bowl that Kai Yan had just filled and took a light sip, then said. Not only are there wrought iron, but also top-quality war horses. Oh. Zhang Fei Mao jumped up with a loud jump and asked in a rough voice, Are you serious about this? Guan Yu's gaze flickered. Who in the world doesn't want to have a warhorse? Galloping on the battlefield, wielding a sword to slay the general. This is what all men in the world dream of. He never imagined that such a day would come as he fled. A blessing in disguise is a blessing in disguise. Guan Yu suddenly felt that all of this was due to fate. The two words of fate that Cao Bin mentioned before were deeply imprinted in his heart. Let him never forget again. Take it seriously, Cao Bin nodded solemnly. Great. Guan Yu couldn't help but get excited and stood up on the spot. Give Guan a large sword to a warhorse, which can be used to retrieve the head of a bandit general from the yellow scarf bushes. Zhang Fei was about to speak, but Cao Bin took the lead and said, Are you trying to say that I'm the same? Ah. Zhang Fei's words choked back as he scratched his head and sneered, That's true. I'm a rough guy, my mouth is clumsy and I can't speak. Looking at Guan Yu beside him, he sincerely said, There is no clear and accurate expression from Brother Yun Chang. Yun Chang made me feel the brotherly understanding. Ah. Zhang Fei's mind suddenly flashed with a spiritual light. We are so destined and understanding, why don't we become brothers? With Brother Cao at the helm, the two of us charging into the formation will surely do something amazing. Chapter 10. The Three Swords of Peach Blossom Garden, Worshipping Deity but Not Longevity. You are listening at Novel FUL. Audio. But. Guan Yu frowned and said. You and I are both older than the Cao brothers. It would be too embarrassing for the brave Cao brothers to call me brothers. I can't bear it at all. If we become sworn brothers, wouldn't we take advantage of Brother Cao? Zhang Fei's two big eyes purred as he thought of the words spoken by Cao Cao when he had just given up the throne. He grinned and said, Yun Chang, don't have such wild thoughts. When encountering such a strange person as Brother Cao, one must not act rigidly. As the saying goes, bird doesn't worship longevity. We don't rank based on age, but on strength. I can't beat you, I respect you as my brother. The power of both of us was completely suppressed by Brother Cao, so we worshipped him as our elder brother. If anyone has any objections, let them ask our fists. Zhang Fei raised his hand and clenched his fist fiercely. Vigorously swung his large fist, creating a gust of fishy air. Speaking, he also looked at Cao Cao beside him, afraid that Cao Bin's elder brother would intervene. He squinted his eyes and clenched his fists with a popping sound, indicating an obvious threat. Cao Cao quickly took a step back. Zhang Fei's gaze, which seemed to be cannibalistic, was too frightening. This is not suitable, Cao Bin waved his hand and said. This is very suitable. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei took a step forward, with huge enthusiasm on their faces. Guan Yu emphasized, there are words in ancient Chinese, and those who are capable occupy them. Brother Cao has surpassed me both in all aspects by too much. This position of elder brother belongs to Brother Cao. Zhang Fei nodded repeatedly, yes, yes. If Brother Cao doesn't agree, I'll kneel here and never get up. If you don't agree for a day, kneel down and worship for a day. If you don't agree for 3 days, kneel and bow down for 3 days. I think Brother Cao doesn't want to watch me kneel here and starve to death, does he? Before he could finish speaking, he knelt down straight. Cao Bin's hands were sharp and his eyes were quick, and he helped Zhang Fei, who was about to kneel. Since that's the case, then I'm not respectful. His words made Guan Yu and Zhang Fei extremely excited. After observing Ida village, peach blossoms are in full bloom, Cao Bin said, choosing a day is better than colliding with it. We will immediately go to the courtyard to pay our respects. Guan Yu's eyes lit up and he said, that's great. Cao Bin's quick and efficient handling of affairs made him feel closer. Zhang Fei excitedly said, that's really great. Someone. He shouted roughly outside the lobby, kill the chickens and pigs immediately. Prepare an incense burner and a table, and you, the Lord, I will pay homage. Go quickly. He shouted boldly with a wave of his hand. Turning around, he picked up the wine jar, filled 3 bowls, and handed them to Cao Bin and Guan Yu respectively. Let's make one of the 3 brothers first. Please. Cao Bin raised his bowl, and Guan Yu followed closely behind. The wine bowls in the hands of the 3 collided together, emitting a clear and crisp sound unique to pottery. Looking up and drinking it all in one gulp, the 3 of them looked at each other and laughed. Cao Cao looked a bit sour from the side. Such a heroic thing doesn't have his share. It's really hard to stretch. However, he has self-awareness. If he kicks sideways and squeezes in to participate in the worship. From now on, the 4 brothers stood together, as if 3 adults were taking care of a child. The difference in height allows him to stand next to the 3 of them, which can best highlight each other's tall and powerful character. Even though his face had already been hardened enough, he still had no face standing beside the 3 of them. Alas! Cao Cao sighed and drank alone, feeling dejected. Kai Yan's gaze shuttled back and forth between Qiao Bin and the three of them. Being able to subdue two brave warriors will undoubtedly have a great impact on the suppression of the Yellow Turban. She is increasingly looking forward to Qiao Bin. Under Zhang Fei's command, the entire village became busy. 20 or so people prepared various utensils, celebrating like the Chinese New Year. After all, Zhang Fei followed Qiao Bin, who had a strong background at first glance. If they were to develop in the future, they would not be inferior either. Outside the village, nearby residents and passers-by stopped outside the fence to observe the bustle of the village. Liu Bei, who was returning home to pack his things, happened to pass by and saw Qiao Bin walking out of the lobby with just one glance. The handsome face of the other party is too eye-catching. Especially with a beautiful young woman beside her. And two powerful men, Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. It's impossible for people to think they can't see it. Liu Bei walked up to the fence and heard various discussions among the people standing by to watch. Zhang Fei led several people to the peach blossom forest in the village. Arranged the positions for each person to kneel and bow. After busy schedules, all matters are handled properly. Qiao Bin knelt in the middle of Futuan, with Guan Yu on the left and Zhang Fei on the right. The three of them held incense in their hands and spoke loudly. The heavens are above me, Qiao Bin. A certain Guan Yu. I'm Zhang Fei. Although they have a different surname, they are willing to become brothers. In the future, we will work together to save lives, report to the country, and ensure the safety of Li Shu. Emperor of heaven and earth, truly learn from this heart, betray righteousness and forget kindness, and let heaven and man slaughter together. 3 people knelt down and swore blood as an oath. Li Cheng. Big brother. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, who had just stood up, clasped their fists and saluted, shouting loudly. The loud voice spread, showcasing the firm emotions of the two to the fullest. Outside the fence of the manor, Liu Bei stared and said, "Do the 3 of you make a vow?" Guan Yu and Zhang Fei take Qiao Bin as their elder brother. An unprecedented sourness churned in his heart. He suddenly felt a sense of being lost and lost. As if losing the most important thing in life, the whole person seems to have been emptied. Liu Bei only felt that Venus was shining in his eyes and the sky was spinning around. Immediately overturn. Suddenly someone fainted, causing a panic in the crowd. Upon discovering the commotion, Qiao Bin took someone to take a look and found that Liu Bei had fainted. He ordered Zhang Fei to pinch the person and rescue them. Father and fellow villagers, step back a bit. Qiao Binlang said in a loud voice, leave enough energy for the fainting person. People retreated back at his command, leaving a large open space. For a long time, Liu Bei woke up leisurely, and a rough, dark face caught his eye. Startled, he jumped up and realized it was Zhang Fei.